Howdy YouTube. So as I said, I was going to show you guys my truck. So I'll make another video of it driving, but I thought for now we'd just look at the freaking thing. So it's a pig, look at it, it's fucking full of dirt and shit and everything else. I drive this truck every single day. This is a 2005 Yukon Denali. It was a factory 345 horsepower all-wheel drive through a 4L65E. It's honestly an exceptionally well-built truck. The truck was fantastic right from the day I got it. It's my second one. I had a 2001 also, but the freaking engine knocked on that one, and we did end up getting it repaired, and it ended up being okay, but I crashed it and kind of fucked it up. I'll show you some video of me driving a little later, and hopefully you can understand why. So anyways, this truck's been upgraded to 20-inch wheels. It runs the Air & Speed +2 floating rotor front brake assembly. It's a 14-inch system. It is required. The truck will not, it heat cycles too fast and I lose the brakes quickly. The truck is capable, so the brakes have to be capable. In the back, I'm just running decelerators. They're 13-inch decelerators, vented and slotted again. They, for the amount of braking the back does, it's perfectly fine. I'm running 285s on the back right now, so 285 50/20. You can see it's a fair amount of tire. I mean, I'm a fair-sized guy, and that's still a lot more tire than the old hand has to offer. From the outside, I try to keep it looking as stock as humanly possible because it's a heat score, eh? And I drive too much like an ass. I can't afford a car that's a heat score. When I pull an ass move and I'm out in the freeway and I pass you smoking my tires at 140 kilometers an hour and you shit yourself, I got to be able to pull back into the slow lane 4 cars up and just look like any other fucking black SUV. But anyways, here, road. So the back is running the corporate 12-inch. It's actually holding up fairly well, but that's because I have real serious traction issues. So if the traction was to get repaired properly, that wouldn't be enough rear end. And honestly, it's still the stock one in the truck. It's one of the very few stock parts in the truck, and it's held up really well. So what I've done is I jacked in a set of airbags. I got this from a friend of mine who races front-wheel drive. So I got 2 little airbags in the back. They max out at 35 psi, so I run them at 45 psi. It turns the back of the truck into basically a rigid truck. It's like jamming 2x4s in the rear suspension. And what that does is it stops the back of the truck from squatting down. That way you can actually launch and keep some weight on the front tires, because I'll take you for a drive. The truck's freaking ridiculous. In first gear, it does. You just dance. You're just literally sliding sideways on the road. This is the cockpit. It's a pig. I drive this truck. This truck's had the turbo on it since 70,000 kilometers. My wife got home. I had the front end completely off the truck. I was fitting an intercooler into it. Right now, this truck's running 177,000 kilometers. The turbo's been on since 70,000 kilometers, and in the first year, I had no fucking clue what I was doing. I whooped the shit out of the thing. I broke this poor truck. But I did eventually learn. I admit it cost. EGT, airfill ratio, true boost. I'm running electronic wastegate. The wastegate is native to 5 psi, so I'm running a 5 psi spring in it. So if I have no wastegate enabling, I default down to 5 psi. The reason I did that is I tuned the truck to 5 psi without meth. I actually pulled a little bit of timing out in the middle of the engine, even though I could have left it there to pick up a bit more power. But if I lose my meth, the reed switch that enables the wastegate control closes out. So all I did is interrupt the signal, the pulse width modulation signal, to the wastegate controller with a 2-pole relay. It's highly sophisticated. If the reed switch opens on the meth, so the meth runs, the pump runs, there's a reed switch just under here somewhere that enables the relay that then allows the pulse width modulator to work. It actually took a little more than that because there's some holdover issues and stuff, but if you guys want, you leave comments of any of the systems I show you here, and I'll try to show you in more detail how I did it. I videotaped and pictured everything. I just never posted it. So if you want to see any of this stuff, let me know. I'll post it for you. Valve covers had to be modified. The valve covers are opened up so that they can breathe properly for a boosted engine. So boosted engines, a lot of pressure goes past the piston and fucks up, you know, you get pressure on the base, and then you're pretty much screwed. So the valve covers have both been modified. They got 5/8 breather hoses. They run into this canister here, and that's just a collection canister. It collects all the solids, and then it's vented out through the front of the truck right here. There's a vent assembly in there. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. While we're up front here, the truck's running on a 36 by 14 by 4 air-to-air JDM intercooler. It's been an incredibly good device. Now I'm blowing meth on top of that, so my intake charges are down in the 30-degree range continuously, and I've been able to pull an amazing amount of boost. The truck has seen 15 pounds of boost. The only major modifications other than the studs and the heads are fuel injectors. So it's the fuel injectors are fast 65-pound fuel injectors, and then I'm running dual Walbro fuel pumps also, and I did that all in the canister conversion. That's one of the things I picked up off the internet. It works freaking fantastically. Fuel delivery is a non-issue. It sounds loud. That's the only thing I'll tell you is if you go to a truck like this, you have to be willing to lose that beautiful, absolutely silent sound it had before, because now there's fucking pumps whirring and all kinds of shit. So anyways, that's how I've done the crankcase ventilation. Again, if you want to see that, just leave comments. I'll post it. I got a Moroso oil accumulator. I'm using that to lube the turbo after the run cycle. And I'm also storing a small amount that when I restart the car, it pre-lubes the engine. It's not really necessary on a daily driver, but what it really did for me is when I used to, after I've changed to my large turbo, so I'm on my 3rd turbo now, and it's the largest turbo I've run so far, it spools so fucking hard and so fucking fast that it actually dropped the oil pressure in the engine while the engine's racing to full power. So it was really a bad combination of the two. The Moroso oil accumulator canister actually put an end to that. I don't know if it's a oil supply problem or if the oil pump just isn't large enough, but without that accumulator on there, now the oil pressure wasn't dropping dangerously low, but I was losing 5 to 10 psi while the engine's accelerating under the strongest workload. It just seemed like a really bad idea. That fixed it. So what makes this truck a little different than your grandpa's Yukon is this truck is running catalytic converter still and a T4OE turbo system. You can see I'm using an AEM wastegate system. Does a beautiful job on wastegating that. Jim did that for me here in Langley. The turbo inlet pipes have done beautifully. So that's a 4-inch inlet on the front of the turbo, so you can kind of get perspective of what size things are. That's a Lunetti oil or fuel pump. That's a 7 psi high delivery fuel pump. Lunetti actually helped me out, and they sourced me the correct parts in that pump and set up that pump to run an oil for me. So that's what I use to return the oil back to the engine, because of course the turbo sits lower than the engine. So when the oil comes into the turbo, it has to be pumped back up into the engine. So there's some secrets there too that you have to learn the hard way, or you ask somebody. Again, I've probably got video and pictures. I would post those if you are interested. But I'm also a strong believer in learning for yourself, because that's how you fucking learn lessons that you manage to keep. What else do you need to know? I could show you, if you're interested, the drive shafts. I don't know where the hell they are, but they're Dom. There they are. So the transmission's a 4L85E. That's for guys that actually know what they're talking about. Basically what that means, it's the transmission is virtually indestructible. I'm running all 402s and both catalytic converters. They glow fucking red. They really need to come off the truck, but I live in the West Coast here, and we have an air care program that's a grab from the fucking government, because any modern car, if you have a problem, the fucking service light will come on. But here you have a program, every 2 years you have to run your car through a test where they actually test the emission equipment to make sure it's working. So if you modify anything like that, you can't register your car. There are ways around it, but I'm not willing to go there, and I can pull plenty of performance with the cats on there. With the cats on, I can sustain about 15 psi, and honestly, at 15 psi, my torque meter maxes out at 750, and I've maxed it. It's gone. It's right off the boot end. So I imagine that the truck is making somewhere in the neighborhood of about 660, somewhere in there. Oh, you know what, I screwed up. The pump isn't Lunetti, it's Aeromotive. That's who did the pump. Anyways, I think that's about all I can show you for now. I'll take the truck out for a run and I'll put that up on there for you too. It's fairly impressive. Alright, talk to you later.